Hey everyone, my name's Nathan Stringari, and I'm part of the Data Studio Enablement team at Silicon Valley Laboratory in San Jose, California. And today I have something really cool for you. I had the opportunity to meet with Rafael Koss, who's a Data Studio architect, and he shared with me his Blackbox, Whitebox, pureQuery API approach to data access. And I really like this presentation, and Rafael puts the information into a really easy to understand perspective. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Rafael had to say, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey, how's it going? So I want to talk to you a little bit about pureQuery. And so if you're not so familiar with pureQuery, pureQuery is this high-performance data access platform. And it's really focused around simplifying, developing, securing, managing, and optimizing applications that access data. So you hear this thing, data access platform, and many of you might be familiar with frameworks out there that Java data access frameworks like Hibernate or JPA. And you're saying, okay, well, platform, frameworks, tomato, what's really the difference? So what I really want to take some time here spending is, what's the difference between the pureQuery API approach to data access versus some of the typical frameworks that have been used in the past? And the way I want to do that is I want to compare it, using a couple of certain examples, right? In particular, this sort of like Hibernate as an example. It's a managed object approach. It could be used, or JPA could be used within a container. And I really think of it as this black box approach, right? And the black box really meaning is that you can't really see inside of it, right? And what you can't see inside of it is what's happening with the database. So the nice things about this approach is, hey, I set up my my Java definition. I set up some mapping files of how my Java is going to relate to my sort of tables, and then magic SQL gets generated. How it gets generated, what gets generated, I really have no idea. It's just some magic SQL that gets generated. From a developer's perspective, you might get some initial productivity boost out of that, right? Because you don't have to write that SQL anymore. But if you're looking at these high performance applications, at some point you want to do things like, define workloads for your SQL. Well, if you're going to define a workload for your SQL, what is it? I don't know. Hey, I wanted to monitor my SQL, and then I need to probably have some association between what the SQL is, what the application is, what the database is. If I want to have any clue to figure out what that is, I need to know the SQL. I don't know. I mean, it's this black box. So, you might get this initial boost, but if you're really trying to build these high-performance applications, you're going to need to know what the SQL is, right? And that's really where, pureQuery sort of comes in, right? Because what pureQuery does, instead of taking a black box approach to data access, what we're really doing here is sort of taking a white box, or, a transparent box to data access. So, we might generate some code for you. We have a nice API. But the key thing that's different about the pureQuery API approach is that you see the SQL, right? And what we make it easy for you to customize the SQL, but just having the ability to see that SQL is key, because now you can, define workloads for that SQL. Now you can customize that SQL. You can tune that SQL. You can monitor that SQL. And then we also do something a little bit more intelligent, because we collect, some metadata that helps you understand the relationship between your SQL, your Java objects that you're dealing with, and the database that it's connecting to. Because as you try to customize things, as you start defining workloads, as you're starting to monitor your data access application, the ability to this association, right? Instead of being hidden, it's important for it to be seen, for you to be able to leverage that. And that's really one of the key differences between pureQuery and some of the traditional Java data access approaches, where they says, hey, I'll give you some productivity boost by hiding the SQL. pureQuery says, hey, we're not going to hide it. What we're going to do is we're going to make SQL a first-class citizen. We're going to allow you to see it. We'll provide some tooling. So Data Studio Developer provides some tooling to help you generate this data access layer, to customize the SQL, to have your Java editor and an integrated Java SQL editor, an integrated Java SQL parser for your Java and your SQL, so that you have this sort of integrated environment that makes it easier to work with SQL. And we generate some template SQL code for you, but then we allow you to customize it. And then we make it easy for you to work with it. And it's a different approach, because it's like, we'll make it easy for you to work with instead of hiding it, right? And generating magic stuff that you can't really change or control or view, right? So in a nutshell, that's really how pureQuery is maybe different than some previous approaches that have been taken for data access.